And about last year, we, together with other consultants and other members of our team, put in a bid for a redevelopment project, mixed use, in the city of Kissimmee. And we actually competed with four other fairly large developers. Two of them were disqualified, and among the three that made it to the final round, we won the $299 million project.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cynthia Tant in Pensacola, Florida, with Sip, Sell, Repeat and Real Estate. And I am going to have a fun time here speaking with Veronica Malolos from Orlando, Florida. So we got two Floridians here. And just a real quick, I just had my eyes dilated, so I can't see what's going on. We'll see how this goes. Veronica, tell us a little bit about you since I can't read anything.
Sure, no problem. And I want to let you know, boy, it is so hot right
Hot.
now in Florida. I don't know how hot. I bet it's cooler over there in Pensacola.
No, it's hot. It's in the
Oh,
90s.
you
Yeah.
know, Florida hot and there's hot, but
And humid. So it's
no,
like, ugh.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know. Well, anyway, thank you for doing this and for inviting me, even
sure.
though your eyes are dilated. I think you look
That's okay.
fine.
I see you on the screen. I see you. I just can't read anything about you.
Sure, no problem. So I am Veronica Malolos, and I'm the founder of a group of companies, actually, aside from other companies, because I'm an entrepreneur, aside from other companies that my husband and I actually own. The name of my company is CapStrata, and we are developers. We have a
Okay.
brokerage, and also we have a property management company.
Oh,
And
great. Love it.
and that's what we're talking about today is really just
Yep.
want to focus on those companies in commercial real estate. So I'm a CCIM. I'm not sure if your audience actually knows what CCIM is, but CCIM is a professional designation of commercial real estate experts. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell.
That's great because love having women involved that have multiple businesses, at least to share with the ladies that may be on our podcast in the future. And I too own multiple businesses, brokerage, short-term management, long-term management, investment through the years. And so development here in Florida these days, let's talk a little bit about that,
Sure.
especially in the Orlando region. Tell us a little bit about the market and what's been going on down there.
Well, as you know, Florida is really growing like, I don't know, it's just amazing. We're busting out the seams. Central
Mhm.
Florida is doing really fantastic as far
Mhm.
as population growth. And of course, demographically, we've been improving. And commercial real estate is really about three basic things, right? Population, which is density, household income, which then really actually determines what kind of retailers or businesses actually come to the area, and then traffic counts. So everywhere is traffic. I mean, I don't know about Pensacola, but there's
No,
way
you
too
have
much.
a lot more traffic than us, trust me.
Yes. And of course, with that also comes growth and redevelopment. And also, thankfully, road improvements and a lot of improvements that happen within counties in the Central Florida region. So development is actually, let's just say that the challenges of development really is capitalization, right? Because the timing has to be right. You have to have the right project and you have to have the right people involved. And it depends on what you're building. So we actually started in development actually fairly recently. And I say we is because I have another CapStrata company that's actually called Shared Ground, and I have partners in that company. And about last year, we, together with other consultants and other members of our team, put in a bid for a redevelopment project, mixed use, in the city of Kissimmee. And we actually competed with four other fairly large developers. Two of them were disqualified, and among the three that made it to the final round, we won the $299 million project. So it's very
That's
exciting.
awesome.
Very
Yes.
exciting.
Is that your largest project that you were able to obtain, or have you had other ones in the past?
But no, this is actually our largest project, yes.
Largest
And
project.
we've
Yeah,
done some smaller scale projects, but, and as a matter of
right.
fact, my son who works with me, his name is Vincent, in the development, he's our vice president of development in my development company. And he's looking at a site right now for also mixed use, a very small scale, about 30 plus units of apartments. And then underneath is probably about 7,500 square feet of retail. So that's an example. And then we also do some, investigation and research and other joint ventures with landowners. For instance,
Hmm.
I have one of a landowner for two 1 acre sites lakefront, and we will be developing custom luxury homes there. So two luxury homes, one on each property. Now that is very interesting because it's got a lot of wetlands. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh, okay.
so that's really a very interesting project there.
Well, and Kissimmee is, I know I'm from South Florida, well, born Daytona Beach, lived in Fort Myers, now in Pensacola. So I'm a native Floridian. And Kissimmee was always Kissimmee,
Yeah,
because of Orlando. And when I was like in the original, when Disney World just started, I was in high school when it's just opened. And so saw the development of what Disney World brought in and how Walt Disney had the foresight or the not to buy as much land as he could in the area. Nobody knew what was going on, who was buying all that land up
yeah,
that he could keep spreading out and to see the growth around there. But dang, the interstates, well, the traffic is quite
yeah.
crazy around that
But
area.
you know what? Our counties are doing really well. By the way, I live in Osceola County, even though I service and my team services Central Florida, which is the five
Okay.
counties around the Orlando area. And I will tell you that Osceola County is probably one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. And they've done a really, really great job at keeping up with the pace of growth and development. Now, of course, and you know this, the governor has just introduced a bill that's going on the November ballot this year, and
Right.
it's to reduce the homestead tax and to increase the
Exactly.
exemption, but
Increase it. Yeah.
increase the exemption, but to reduce the
Yeah.
actual tax. In other words, his goal is for homes of up to 250,000 not to pay property taxes. And that's very concerning, right?
Yeah.
Especially the impact of that on development. Services,
I'm glad you're as concerned as I am because
oh
I'm
yeah,
hearing people are just saying, "Oh, I'm not going to have to pay any taxes." I said, "Do you understand what's going to happen?" They
yeah,
don't. They don't
yeah.
have any because of what's been said to them.
Right. And services, of course, that's the first
Service
thing.
support. Where
Yeah,
are we going to get the tax base, especially in
right.
Escambia County and one of the poorer counties, an area up in this here in the
Yeah.
Panhandle? Where's that money going to come from for our fire and for? They're not touching, from what my understanding was, teachers. So we're still paying, according to what I read, and this may be different
Yeah.
from the podcast here, but
I,
according
I
to what
don't
I
know.
read
Right. And
was
I
that
don't know
they're
about
still taxing, you still have to pay the school tax
Sure. And
on
I don't know
property
about your
tax.
county, but in our county, the millage for the school district is separate from the rest of it, of the ad valorem taxes. So no, they're not touching that because they
Yeah,
can't.
they're not. They
As we're
can't.
growing, we need more schools, we need more teachers. I mean, how are they going to sustain that? Well, my biggest concern about that is if in fact it passes, but 60% of
And
votes is
60% is a, it's
very hard. I mean,
hard.
marijuana didn't pass. And
I
they
know.
they they had it on the bill twice. They had that bill on the ballot twice and it didn't pass. So I don't know about this one, but just in case it passes, then the counties and the cities would have to find other sources of revenue, and more than likely the non-homesteaded properties and the commercial properties are going to end up paying more in taxes to make up for the shortfall. So that's a big concern because then it creates this imbalance of capital moving into Florida for the non, the commercial investments. So that's a big concern. Yes. So a lot of things happening as far as development is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because we don't talk enough about that I've done on the podcast. But the word is, everybody, oh yeah, I want my tax. I don't want to have to keep paying. I said, okay, so do we raise the sales tax in the state of Florida?
Yeah.
do we raise the county little, we only get 1.5%. I don't know what you guys get in your county. Then, the vacation tax. Okay, so there's 5% vacation tax on all the vacation rentals. I'm just talking from that standpoint too. But
Yeah,
but the tourist industry got kind of slammed a little bit this year. So you're depending on the tourists to come support our
yeah,
services. Okay.
yeah.
Well, how did you get into development? Was that always something that you had wanted to do, or was it a direction that you ended up taking?
So it's funny because when I became a commercial real estate expert, I was a residential broker when I started. I've been
Oh,
in this industry maybe 20, I don't know, 23, 24,
yeah.
25 years. And I've had some leadership roles in the realtor organization. I was president of our county, of our realtor board here in our county. And then later on, actually, developed into a district vice president position in the state of Florida. And now I was just past president of CCIM, which is the Organization of Commercial Real Estate
Sure.
Experts. And next year I'll be the state president. So when I actually transitioned from residential to commercial, it was very, very difficult. And I'll tell you, if there is somebody in the audience out there that is thinking, oh, I want to transition from residential to commercial, make sure that you have a fat bank because commercial real estate take the velocity of
Yeah,
the deal for
long
commercial
time.
real estate is it could take you 9 months to 2 years before it can get paid. So
And
if you
and
have to pay your
that's what,
bills, if you have to
yeah,
pay,
and
you're the source, you're the main source of livelihood, then it's going to be very difficult. You have to bootstrap, and you have to have someone, maybe a partner, a spouse, who can pay your bills while you're building your commercial real estate. Which I'm blessed because that's how I transitioned. Right?
mhm,
I had a
mhm,
conversation with my husband, and I said I have a very good opportunity to represent some city land here in Osceola County, but it's going to take about two years before I can see. And mind you,
sure.
I manage the largest Remax office here in Kissimmee. And we have three offices, and I was also a producer, made a lot of money. But I really my heart was telling me I need to transition to commercial real estate. And my husband agreed. And he says, don't worry, honey, because he was a very successful engineer. And he said, look, I've had my career, so I want you to pursue success in your career. And so he agreed that we would bootstrap. And so he took care of all the bills for about a couple of years. And thankfully, it's a risk, right? And thankfully, I was able to become successful as a commercial real estate broker. So that's my advice actually to your audience. So any
I was
realtors
just
who
gonna
want to transition.
ask you, yeah. So first off, how can they get in touch with you? So how can we in contact with you?
Sure, you can find me on my LinkedIn, or I don't think it's very difficult to find somebody with my last name.
Especially
So
in real
it's
estate. Yeah, I know. It's like,
yeah,
and if you're all over the place anyways, but
yeah.
but
So
yeah,
I have a pretty
Facebook
good.
or
Oh yeah,
LinkedIn
I'm
is
I'm
mainly
I'm in all
all over.
social media
Yeah,
channels, and my
got
last
it
name
all.
is Malolos, and that's spelled Emerson Mary Alolos. And if you just look for that last name, I think you'll find me easily because I'm the only Veronica Malolos out there, I think.
There you go, that you know
Yeah.
of, right? Yeah. So especially because you did that transition, what would be one or two, other than having money in the bank before getting into this, which commercial I know is a risk from that standpoint, but what are maybe a couple other things that you could give as words of wisdom to
Sure.
someone that really is thinking about that?
Well, you can't do commercial real estate if you're not educating yourself in commercial real estate. And for me, the world class and the gold standard for commercial real estate is CCIM. And it's an education provider for commercial real estate. And I'll tell you that if anybody out there wants to educate themselves in commercial real estate, just sign up for classes from the CCIM website, which is ccim.com. And a lot of, like, we have a panhandle district that actually holds some classes out there in your area. And it's all over the world, it's all over the United States. And so sign up for that. Sign up for the first one, which is let's just say you don't have a lot of, so you have to have some kind of background in finance or accounting or, yeah, because this is all investment real estate,
The
right?
numbers.
Yeah, so it's really not for the faint of heart, right? Because these classes are top notch and they're very finance oriented. So, but if you're curious, you could take the foundations class, which I'm sure a lot of realtor organizations actually hold, that
Hmm.
they uh they partner with CCIA,
Support. Yeah.
local
Hmm.
CCI. So that would be
Right.
one. And then of course you go on with the core courses, which is 101 is really pure investment real estate. And that's really, really, I love math, I love finance, so I love investment. So that to me was like really exciting. But I'll tell you, I've met a lot of top producing residential realtors that have taken 101 and they said, oh, not for me.
Not
Let
gonna
me
be for me. Yeah.
listen, if you're making 200, $300,000 as a year as a residential real estate realtor, hey, that's good. You don't
Yeah.
need to transition, Sometimes you just have to focus. But for those of you who really want to try it, that's my first advice, get educated. Number two is join the organization and
Right.
seek a mentor. That's how I
Right.
started. I was lucky
That
enough.
that was what I was going to ask you because you have such leadership and higher leadership roles. I was a president for WCR here in our local thing, and I should have done it earlier. I just didn't want to go any higher, because oh,
Yeah,
go do this. I said, oh, that is not happening,
yeah,
but that learning and that connecting, and then you're around whether it's not only local but state, regional, national, and meeting the people that can help with your transition. Or you had already transitioned by then, but with your actual career.
yeah.
So how is that related to how you've been able to also work in your vicinity of your 5 counties in the commercial world?
So networking is so important. So you talked a lot about leadership, right? So volunteer work is an amazing opportunity to get to meet people. So because I was the president of Osceola Realtors back, oh, way back when, like in the
Mhm.
1800s, no, I'm kidding you, it was 2010.
We're on the same line. We're on the same thing here.
I actually, following my term, I applied to join the Osceola Leadership Program. It's called Leadership Osceola. And in that
We
program, you
have
get
here.
to meet all of the who's who in accounting. So I really got to build relationships with, at that time, were just my classmates who eventually became city managers, who eventually became, commissioners, you know what I'm saying? So, like, even
Yep.
now, with my relationship with the county appraiser, who is always getting reelected, it's like I mean, I'm on her speed dial, she's on mine. I
Right.
mean, it's really great, right? So what happened was when I graduated from that program, I got a call from the city manager of St. Cloud, and the office actually asked if I would participate in an RFQ, which is request for qualifications, to sell their commercial parcels, which is 110 acres. So it's a great story. So then I was
I
like,
love stories.
and I
I
was
love
like,
stories.
and the public information officer at that time, Sandra was her name, and she's retired now, but she and I went to the same leadership Osceola class. So then I started laughing and I said to Sandra, "Are you sure the city manager is asking for me? Because I'm a residential realtor. I'm not commercial." And she says, "Oh, yes, he's asking specifically to contact you because apparently at one of those sessions in leadership Osceola, when the city of St. Cloud was doing a presentation about these parcels, apparently, and I don't even remember this is 2 years back before I got the call, right? That I had asked the city manager aside. I took him aside after the presentation and I said, listen, if you have intentions of selling, I would love to be the one to sell the
That's
property.
great.
And
Yeah.
he remembered that. And so he asked Sandra to get in touch with. Now we competed because,
Right.
that's just the way
Yeah.
that
That's
we
yeah.
competed with four other really fairly established commercial real estate companies. But see, the advantage is that I'm local and I'm a leader in the community.
Right.
I actually was appointed on the planning board commission by one of the commissioners, and I served there for 10 years, and I was chair for 3 of those 10 years. And so I do have a local reputation. I have really great relationships, again, from Leadership Osceola. And then what I did was I called one of the largest land brokers, really, really big name in land brokerage from Polk County, which is, further west from us.
Sports. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's such a great guy. I said, Ben, and he was president of, he was like national land realtor of the year. I mean, this guy is just amazing. And I asked him, I said, hey, Ben, I have an opportunity to put in for an RFQ for the city of St. Cloud. I said, for fairly large acreage. And I said, would you help me? Would you mentor me? Would you partner with me so we can compete? And he says, of course, Veronica, I'll do that. And by the way, I know him because he was also an RPAC trustee for his local association. And we often, because we're in the same kind of area, we met during some leadership dinners. And that's the only reason why I know him. I mean, this is really where volunteer work and leadership actually pays off, right? It's a lot of
It's a lot of
giving,
work,
but
but you got, yeah,
it will, yeah.
it's going to pay
Anyway,
off in yeah.
so he said, "Oh, you mentioned large parcels of land. How many acres is it?" And I said, 110 acres. And I was like super excited. And he starts laughing. And I said, "Why are you laughing, Ben?" And he says,
Oh, I
"Oh
know.
no, because I thought you said a large parcel of land because he usually sells like thousands of acres, right? This is
Thousand acres.
he was just joking though, but he made me laugh. And I say, "Oh, come on, Ben." And he was like, "No, of course, Veronica, I'll support you." So we won that bid.
Yeah.
So we ended
Yeah.
up over about 5 years of listing that property. We put in a Walmart neighborhood center. We have a shopping center now there, and which I, by the way, represented the developer that bought it. So I represented the city that sold it. Then consequently represented the developer that bought it, who built a shopping center, and consequently I listed the spaces for lease.
Bases
Yeah,
that was,
and I did 100% leasing, pre-leasing actually, before they even pulled or put a shovel in the ground. I'd already
yeah.
pre-leased it 100%. And then eventually, when the last tenant actually opened its doors for business, my developer put it on the market and I sold the investment. So it paid off like a lot, right? And now we have another shopping center in there. We put in a senior housing, some apartments. We had a school that was in there. I mean, over 5 years, Ben and I actually were very successful in selling those properties. And that's how I kind of built my career here locally.
A lot of things when, and especially some newer agents, real estate agents getting into the field, the background, because commercial again is a different animal than the residential. So from a background standpoint, was this your first career in real
What,
estate
real estate?
or
No,
yeah, I was gonna say,
no.
what'd you do before?
So I'll tell you, I actually moved to this country in 1989.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
totally different career. And I'd moved from, I was getting a divorce. It was not of my choice. I was dumped by my ex-husband. And my sisters had already moved here. And my parents, by the way, my dad actually served for the US Army during World War II. And so, he had put
Wow.
in a petition for our whole family to move here, but he did not want to move because let me tell you, life is good in the Philippines. I mean, they have maids and drivers and somebody
I
that
know my
irons their
friend.
clothes, a cook,
Yeah,
somebody that
I
washes
know.
their clothes and cleans their house and all
I
that stuff.
know.
But he knew, my dad knew, my parents knew that opportunity for the next generation was here in the United States. So all my sisters had already moved here. And I didn't really want to move here. So in 1989, because my husband dumped me, I moved here. And it's funny, I don't know whether you know Carlton Sheets. Do you know Carlton
Now I
Sheets?
know who Carter. Oh
You've
yeah.
heard
Oh
of
yeah.
So
Way
I was
back.
in,
Yeah. Yeah.
I lived in New York City. I was actually helping my aunt who was dying of bone cancer, who she eventually left me her beautiful apartment in Manhattan.
Oh
And
gosh.
I was watching TV, and at that time the TV was just this box, that had a
Yeah.
big back and and all
Hmm.
that. And I was just wondering, I was thinking to myself, what's next for me? And I saw this infomercial from Carlton Sheets about real estate. At that time, I was a single mom in New York, and really I was looking, searching for what I'm going to do next. I called my eldest sister and I said to her, I really want to do this. I don't have enough money. So she sent me money. And I bought the program. And then it just so happened about a year or so later, I got married to my now husband of 26 years. And from the time that we married in 2000, we started investing in residential real
Real
estate.
estate. Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
bought them, I rented them, I managed them, made a lot of money on them, and then eventually
Right.
got my license, put a brokerage up, and I had agents.
When
And
did you get when did you get down to Florida? When did you make the move down to Florida?
2002, we got
Okay.
married in 2000,
Yeah.
and then 2001 was 9/11,
Right.
and we were supposed to move to the Philippines because my husband's very, very successful there. He was the CEO of the whole country for Sandvik, which is um, a Swedish multinational company for specialty steel. So, and he was CEO for two of their companies there. Then 9/11 happened. I was still living
Mhm.
here, and life is too short. So I said to him, he has three kids. He lost his wife to breast cancer. And I said to him, life is too short. I mean, look what happened, during 9/11.
New York. Yeah.
I think maybe you guys would want to move here instead of us moving there, right? And the economy was starting to tank at that point, 9/11.
Mhm.
And so they moved here. And that's when we started. And eventually it was through the realtor organization that I actually kind of developed my career. And his support,
Right.
of course, that was so important. And we raised five children, by the way, together. And we have nine grandchildren right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That keeps you very busy,
Oh,
during
yeah. I
this
mean,
whole process.
well,
Yeah.
most of them live in Tampa, so I don't really see them that much. We see
Right.
them like 4th of July weekend. They're all going to be here, and so we're going
Right.
to have a lot of fun. I'll have my backyard set up, and it's going to be
Mhm.
fun. But I have two. I have
Well,
two. That's about 5 minutes. Sorry, 10 minutes from.
oh, oh, from where you're at. So at least you got some of them there. But just to
Yeah,
get from where you're at to Tampa takes you 6 hours. No, I'm on
it's
the
an
on the
hour and a half.
road.
Yeah, hour
I
and a
know.
half. Easy.
Um, I know when I was a college professor before I got into real estate, and I went the same route of investing when I came here to Pensacola. I was fortunate enough my brother and I invested quite heavily in 94. And so that's how I transitioned into the real estate. But I've always been in the residential. I've had some people ask me about commercial. Why don't you do it? I said, I don't want to do it. And I'm a math person. I mean, my background is in math and I like numbers, but it was just like, don't want to do it. So
Yeah,
I know it takes a personality, but in any real estate, it's with relationships. AI's coming on board and everything's going to be, I said, but you know what? It's still person to person. We have these relationships that we've met through either our leadership positions or our associations that we belong to, our education that we fulfill. And I still think that's a core of any realtor, or whether it's commercial or residential.
all about relationships.
And so, go ahead.
People like to do business with people they like.
They like,
I mean, strangers are harder to do business with, right? Because you don't know. You're like, getting to the point of decision making is so much faster when you trust the person that's on the other line.
from a residential standpoint, from property management, like you've gone through and everything like that. I was on it was a session, they were talking about AI, and how it was going to revolutionize real estate and everything. And I just commented and I said, in the chat, I said, but AI is not going to fix that toilet
Mhm.
unless you have a robot that's going to do that. So there's still got to be people that you have to talk to get
Yeah,
into the house to do that. And everybody kind of laughed about it. I said, no, it's the truth. I said, someone calls you at midnight and the water's flowing out all over the place. Who is going to go do it? But from a commercial standpoint, you said you like math and you got into that. You had good mentoring. We'll finish up here just a little bit because we're almost here to the end now. But if there's anything else that you could share with the ladies that may be interested, because there's not as many women that I've seen that are in the commercial realm in
yeah,
our area, at least.
yeah.
I'm not quite
No,
sure
no,
about
no.
yours.
That's a statistic.
It's like 80% in residential are women realtors, more brokers and stuff and men happen to be, but it's probably flipped in commercial. Is that about
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Okay.
You're about right. Yep. It is very, very low percentage of women in commercial real estate.
Mhm.
So I think that first of all, you have to know what's in your heart, right? Like for you, for instance, you made a choice not to go into commercial real estate. I'm sure
Mhm.
you could do it. I mean, you're super smart, you like math, you have those
Yeah.
relationships. I'm sure you could do it. But because some people are more like you and me, I think are focused into doing a job right and doing it as best as you can, I think it's also okay to say I just want to focus on either residential or commercial. Although I do know a lot of brokers in the commercial side, even CCIMs, who do both. But that's okay. Like today, my daughter and her husband are selling their house because they're going into another house. Of course, I'll help them, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I would do that. But it's not like I'm marketing for it or trying to
Right.
find more business that way. So it's know what's in your heart. And when you find out what's in your heart, just tell yourself that if others can do it, you can do it too. Like for
Right.
me, when I was starting to decide as to whether or not I'm going to transition to commercial real estate, of course I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of sacrifice. Can I really become successful? You know what? I stopped asking if I can really be successful. I just asked for support with the mentoring and my husband for financial support. And I told myself, if they can do it, I can do it. And it might take some time, but I'm going to do all the steps that I need to do to be able to become the best that I could be. And that's again, I took the education. It was
Mhm.
tough, but I did that. And I got mentoring. And I joined an organization that inspired me, welcomed me, educated me. And so in the end, I led that organization, or I keep leading or volunteering to lead with the rest of the wonderful leaders in our organization, because I'll tell you, CCIM has really just helped build my career and grow my career and made me a lot of money. So that's,
That's great. That's so great of your story too, of how you left your country and came to the United States and successful immigrant
yeah,
success story, right?
absolutely.
And how you've built a family and done that together, and all the while pursuing their dream
Yeah.
and in CCIM, and using that experience to also help in future for future individuals who are going the same route. I thank you, Veronica, for coming on and talking to us, especially about commercial. I mean, I haven't had actually the first one that's
Oh,
talked
cool.
about it, which is awesome because it gives a little bit of a handle of what you're doing and how any gal can do it too. So
Anybody can do it.
anybody can do it. So down in Kissimmee, anybody, folks, commercial down in that area, look Veronica up, especially you're in 5 county area.
Yeah.
So look her up, and I'm gonna harp on the traffic again because we don't have it in Pensacola.
Good for you. The price of
Except going
progress.
over except going over to the beach on Saturday
Oh,
afternoon
yeah.
at 12 o'clock, is when everybody's going to the beach right now. But thank you so much again, and best of luck with you of everything you're doing, especially your development that you're doing right now. This is
Thank
amazing for
you.
you. If you're inspired by these powerful women in real estate, you'll want to catch the next conversation. Click the video on screen to keep sipping, selling, and leveling up your game.